Yes, hello, good night. Tonight I wasn't actually planning to stream. It's just that I was coding and I thought it would be nice to stream it to some friends. And so tonight is basically me. Tonight is basically me showing you how I code when I'm alone. Yes, so okay, I was actually working on a project. This is a project I'm building with two friends. Let's just say the code name for it is Tuk Tuk. They actually came up with a different name, but I think Tuk Tuk is easier to pronounce. And yep. Yes, so before I started this stream, I was working on the authentication part of the application, and this is kind of repetitive, but I've never actually built a proper web application using Go, so I guess I'll just go ahead and continue doing this. So I was just writing this middleware section, and I implemented some middleware to fetch session from a session cookie, then also some middleware to check if a user is signed in, and then some middleware to redirect the user to the login page if they are not signed in, and or redirect them to the dashboard if they are already signed in. And I could try showing you a demo of this in Chromium. So I was, as you can see, I navigated to the I navigated to the root path, and I navigated to the root path, and I was redirected to the sign in page using a cAver. Yeah, to this day I don't really know what the proper status code for redirects is. Anyway, is anybody here? Okay, it looks like there is at least one viewer. So I already have a login page. I also have a sign up page, and this sign up page also renders validation errors. And at this point I could see if I can actually sign into the application. I already have one user created in the database. I'm not sure if I remember the password. Let me see. Okay, I still haven't implemented the sign in handler, so I could probably do it. Try and do it right now. So I currently have this new handler which handles the rendering the sign in page, but I still haven't implemented signing in actually signing in, so taking my email address and password and checking if the user is in the database and so on. So let me see first if in the user service I have anything to sign the user in, and it looks like I don't. So I think I'll start by defining some error messages. So for example, I could I'll define some error messages so that we can we don't have to write out all the messages by hand when we return error messages when we return error values from the service. So for example, error user does not exist, which is one possible error. Then there is invalid password. Okay, we could probably pick some better error messages for the user, but for now it's going to be fine. So authenticate user by email password, and hello Jack of all. Yes, this is my most recent editor, and I'm actually inspired by this guy. There is a German streamer who basically streams without Tmax and without even auto-completion, without syntax highlighting. So I just thought that syntax highlighting is actually kind of distracting. And password will be string, and it may return a user, an error. So first I'm going to check if a user exists. So that would be user service. Okay, I don't even have a query to check if a user exists. So for that to this end, I'm going to implement a query in sqlc. So select everything from users where email equals this, and then I regenerate the queries using sqlc. So now in queries I should have, and I have to restart the LSP. So context with the context and email, and yes, user error equals user queries get user by email. And I'm going to open the I don't remember, so I'm currently answering the question of Jack of all, and there is some German streamer, I think his name is René, and I recently saw a post about him on Twitter saying that this man is very based because he basically codes with stock Vim without any LSP or syntax highlighting or anything, and I thought I could basically try doing something similar with my Vim configuration, and yep, I actually was surprised to see that getting everything black and white and without any syntax highlighting is more productive than I could have thought. If error is not nil, return nil, and error user does not exist. Then we check the password, and that would be, we're going to add the check hash and the password user password hash. So when we get, okay, match, what are the other arguments? Okay, we don't care about anything else than the match, so if match, we can return user and no error message, otherwise, okay, or maybe like this, if match, and if it doesn't match, we just return nil and error invalid password, and then we just return the user and no error message, like this. So now we could write some test examples for this, and in here I already have a test suite set up, and I'm just going to add a new test example. So that would be so first I'm going to insert a user. So as I have a helper which just inserts the user, and now I can say, okay, checking if there is no error, and then I instantiate a service, so that would be services new user service with the database connection from the test suite, and then I check the actual return value of this, which would be user email and user, and I have the password that they have here is defined here, so that would be valid password, and I assert that there is no error, and I assert that the user ID returned by this function is the same as the actual ID. Yes, and not enough arguments. Okay, it also retains the background. Yes. So now, let me see if the test is passing. Okay, what I have? Passwords do not match. Test register user with missing attributes. User survey test 42. Okay. Interesting. And missing attributes. So it looks like it could be a flaky test. But yes, actually Okay, I will just fix it like this. Okay, so basically there is an error because I was this was another test example with that was checking that the validation was working correctly, and I didn't really check if the validation was working for basically I was checking the validation for passwords to be required, but in this test example it ran the password confirmation validation first, so the error message I got from it was not deterministic, and basically it ended up breaking the test. Simplify range expression, what do I mean? Okay, like this, okay. So I have the test example for the happy path, and now I can implement the test examples for the unhappy path. So I should probably also check if the oh well, I should check with an invalid password, for example. Context background, a valid email address but invalid password, and I need to ensure that the error message is let's see. I think I didn't have I couldn't run the test because I was setting new environment variables and didn't restart the editor. Okay, the tests are passing. So now I could make another test that if I run the tests with the incorrect password but invalid email address, then it should also return an error that the user does not exist, and with invalid password and invalid email it should also return user does not exist. So now all the tests are passing, so now I can be sure that the authenticate user by email and password function is working correctly. So now in the handler I can implement a function like this. So in user session controller I implement the create function that is a HTTP handler function, and it's from here I'm going to fetch the email. Okay, first error parse form. If error is not nil, then we can basically handle this as a bad request. What do we have here? Response writer, bad request, and status bad request. Because there is nothing we can do if we cannot parse the form. So then the email would be from the form. We fetch the email and we fetch the password. And now let's see if we can we want the user service, not this service. We don't want queries, we want user service in here. So services FTP like this, but this could probably return a pointer, and does everything still compile like this? User registration control 21. So this would be a pointer, and now everything is compiling again. Great. So user error equals authenticate email by user by email password with the context of the request, email and password. And so now we can probably guess that there might be an error because the user may not exist, or because the password may be invalid. So the next thing I could do is, if there is an okay, I could probably first handle the happy path, which would be if error is nil. No, I can handle if a user is not nil, and then handle this later and return. And in the other case, that would mean that we can sign the user in. And what I have for this, what I have implemented for this, I have a session store. So that would be get session from request session, and in the session I have to create a session token, and that's something I implemented earlier on, and that would be from another service. User token service. And what does this return? Okay. Like this. And now in the controller I have access to UTS, which is the user token service, which is something I implemented earlier on. And in the context of the request, I can generate a session token for the user, and the context for this would be queries user token context session. Great. And now this means that in the session values session token, session key, yes. I set the token, which is so basically what this is doing is I'm generating a user token which was used to validate the session. It is valid for a day, and if I want to sign all users out, I can just delete all tokens, and it would work. And also this can be reused with for confirming emails, addresses, or resetting passwords, or anything like this. And I took this from the authentication generators for the Phoenix framework for the Elixir programming language, and that setup has apparently been audited for security by some experts, whatever this means. So I am pretty positive that this may be a good setup. And what I'm doing here is I'm generating a 32-byte long random binary. I save it to a database with the user's ID and with the what I have here. I'm creating a user token for the session context, and then I store it in the session, which is basically a signed cookie. And then I save it in the signed cookie, and then session save the request and the request response writer, and this can probably return an error. Okay, great. And then HTTP redirect. What I have here: response writer request, a root, and HTTP status see other. And if the error is not nil, it means we have to handle it somehow, and that means we probably need to display an error message in the sign-in form. So in the template, I'm going to display a message. I'm going to first add a new parameter to this function. So if this would be an error, this could be a string as well, but for now I'll just make it an error. And if error is not nil, I can display an error message, and I have it implemented somewhere else as well. What I have here, and that would mean that if the error is not nil, we display an error message like this. So now in here I need to originally render a form with nil, and if it's not nil, we render this with the error. So render in the context of the request and with like this, and I restart the LSP. So now let's see if this works. The server is listening, and I have the form in here, and it doesn't work because I didn't add it to the router. So once again, request post to sign in should be handled by sessions create, and now it should just, okay, it says invalid password, great. Okay, I don't remember the password, so maybe I will just delete the user. Okay, great. So now if I try the same error message, I'm getting a different error message because the user does not exist anymore. So I'll sign up first. And the password. Okay, it says the password must be at least 8 characters long, so okay, I did manage to sign up. And what am I getting now? They get a cookie. I did get a cookie, and so why is the cookie not working? Interesting. Require authenticated user. I'm going to set up a breakpoint in here. To this end, I need to start the assets server first, and then I set up a. First, I'm going to set up a breakpoint in here. I'm going to set up a breakpoint in here, and I run the server in the debugger. Great. And now, let's see. In the values, what do I have in the values? Next, p token. Yes, I have a token. Next, continue. And next, p error. Okay, so there is a user. The user is here. Continue. Okay, so we know that the user is correctly fetched from the session. So require authenticated user. So are we getting a user? We don't know because it's not even called. Interesting. In the router, require authenticated user. Why is this not called? Fetch user from session DB. Do I need to put it over there or something? Oh no, it's not called because I wasn't calling this route. So p session. Okay, so for some reason the value in the context is not a user equals user. So okay, I'm going to rewrite it like this, so I can see what the user is actually. And now, so the user is nil. And why is this? Context user key. Did they actually store the user in the previous step? Fetch user from session, yes. Require authenticated user. So did I save the user in here? Yes, so I am storing the user in the context. Okay, this is because I'm trying to fetch the user from the context and it's the session, and I actually stored it in the context of a request. Stupid me, stupid error. So what would mean that our context value like this. And this means that I also need to what's here? Okay, like this. And that means I also need to do it the opposite here. Great. So now if I start the server like this, it's redirecting me to the dashboard, and if I try to navigate to the sign-in page again, it's redirecting me to the dashboard again. And if I open the same page in an incognito tab, it redirects me to the login page. Great. So it's time to commit. And now I want to set up a way to sign out, which means if we are already signed in, I want us to be able to sign out. So that would be a session delete or something. In the session controller, I implement a new method on the user session controller, and I could call it delete or destroy. Rails uses destroy, Phoenix uses delete. I think I'll go with delete. Sponsor writer, HTTP request, and then I fetch this session. And what can I do? Session values, delete. Yeah, I can delete it like this. Config session token session key. Okay, it seems to work. And then session save with request and writer, and then we redirect to sign in like this. Great. And in classical REST we would have to do it with a delete request, which is not possible with plain HTML. So we could do a workaround, or we can just allow doing this with a GET request like this. If the user is authenticated, we don't want to sign them. No. If the user is not authenticated, we want to allow signing out. And this goes after unauthenticated routes and sessions. User session controller UTP. And implement, we add the sign out handler, and in this side, in the layout sidebar, I'm going to add a section to basically add a link to the sign out. Like this. So now we have this sign out link in the sidebar, and when I click it, I'm signed out. When I submit the form, I'm signed in, and when I click this one, I'm signed out. Great. So I could probably work a bit on the layout of this page itself, but I don't really have any. I don't really have a proper. I don't really have a proper mock-up. So, well, maybe I could just take a look at the existing things I've implemented or something. So my idea was that this is going to be a multi-tenant application, so there will be a header in here with the page title in the top, and on the left, in the top left corner, there would be the name of the application and tenant switcher, and on the left there would be a sidebar, and in the bottom side of the page there would be the section with the users information. And to this end, I'm going to probably have to implement four divs, or basically I'm going to have to split this layout into 4 parts. So we could do it like this, that we have the sidebar, we have the top bar, we have the, I think this would work. We just split the sidebar into 2 sections, and the main part into 2 sections. So like this. Better. Great. I have a header in this section. I have in the sidebar, I have another header, and I can wrap it in a header tag. Great. So now I can implement some variables. So I can say that the header height would be 5 rem, which is 80 pixels. And then in the other CSS files, maybe in the base. Yeah, I could call it base, I could call it layout maybe. Yep. So yes, so this is the base file, this is the layout file. I could move the layout to this part like this, and then I can say that grid template rows would be header height and one fraction like this, and then I can say that the sidebar is display contents, which means that basically this is now broken because I did it like this. I need to wait. Sidebar. Yeah, okay. Do I want it like this? No, I want this to be the main part of the sidebar, and in the sidebar the main part, no, not like this. main part goes to row 2, and for now it works. So now I have, when we look at the layout like this, I have a grid, and in this grid I have an aside which consists of a header of a main section, and then in the main I also have a main. I probably could come up with better semantic layout. Here I have a header, and this header should also, okay. So I guess the main part should also so both should be display contents, and there is no point in trying to render it in salmon color anymore. So now I have these 4 parts of the layout, and now I can try giving them some colors. So in the layout, in the actual markup, so I could say that this would be class equals sidebar header, class equals sidebar body, and then I could just say sidebar body, the background color is lime or maybe pink, and the grid row is 2, and then I wouldn't need this. I need to refresh the page. Great. And for the sidebar header, I have a background light blue. Great. Display flex, and each one in here would have no margin, and align item center, and maybe for now text align center, justify content center, so it's everything. So everything is centered in here. And yes, I'm going to do something similar for the body as well, but maybe first I'll set a class of sidebar for this. And right, the 1 pixel solid 909. Do I have a border? Do I have a border? No, I don't, because everything here is basically this. Okay, so I have to set the borders separately on each of these. Okay, so sidebar body has a border on the right, and both have a border like this. And yes. And then for the header, okay, anyway, I set a variable for this border first, so Okay, and then the header would have border bottom, like this. And then I can also define name classes for the remaining elements. So that would have an ID of main and class. Main, yeah, whatever, it's not the best one, but main, header, and that would be also not cool. Maybe just a div for now. Main with the class of main body, like this. It's still rendering, okay. Layout. Okay. Okay, so I can say sidebar header and main header both have the border bottom, and this way I have this grid. And now I could probably make this grid a bit lighter in color, so maybe not 0%. That so 100% lightness is white. Maybe 50% white lightness is even darker. Maybe 80% lightness, 70% lightness. For now, it's good. 75% is good enough. And I'm going to remove the debugging backgrounds. And what else do I have? I could move this variable to this file. Okay, this still works. And in the sidebar body, I have display flex direction colon, and then I could say that its footer has the margin top of auto, and this way the footer goes all the way down, and the I remove the bullet on the left. I remove the padding on the left side, and then I'm going to need some sort of padding anyway. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, I hope everybody is enjoying the stream, because I'm kind of enjoying it. Yes, so the things I'm going to need on the left hand side will be links. Okay, and in both headers I want no margins on the headers, and both would have vertical align for text. And yep, so the next thing I want to do is I want those links to be hoverable. So yes, so the links would be hover. For now, let's just make them a bit darker gray when I hover, and then maybe I will implement a primary color, and then when we hover on an active link, it would have a different primary color or something. I haven't really thought about it yet. So that would have a display inline flex maybe. No, and that would probably be a flex. It's probably better. And then height. Let's say it's 40 pixels, which is 2.5 RAM. And then the height would be sidebar link height. Great. Align items center. And then sidebar item padding. That would be the inline padding for those elements. So yeah, great. And now when I hover on one, I want it to have the hover color. Great. So now if I hover above the item, it's a darker shade of white or light gray, and then it also means the cursor is a pointer, and that if there is a if there is an link in there, then it has to be inherit the color, text decoration none, and that would basically be width, full width. Okay, well, I haven't thought about it. Maybe this would be okay. So to be for the A inside. Or maybe like this. Yeah, so the li has to be basically they both have the height, they are both flexes, and maybe not align item center, but line height like this, and then the width would be 100%. Yes, so maybe I'll add the outline 1 pixel solid pink. Okay, so I still want the link to be wider, so like this. Great. So now the whole width of the link is clickable, and I can get rid of this padding, and then in the sidebar I can basically add fake links so that everything is displayed as a link. And this is exactly 1 hour, and I know it's the highest viewing rate of all the stream, but I'm going to finish the stream for today, and maybe I'll see you in another spontaneous stream sometime in the future. And if you enjoyed this stream, please like and subscribe, and I may stream in the future, or I may not. Time will tell. Thank you and goodbye.